Chege and Barasa are brothers. They live in the city of Nairobi in Kenya with their parents. Nairobi is a beautiful town, which has small villages in it. The villages are not far from each other. Their parents are retired from their jobs and decided to relocate to one of the villages around. Chege and Barasa love their new home and are so excited to make new friends in their new environment. They have a younger sister who is just 4 years old. Mila loves to stay around her brothers all the time, but they do not always let her because Mila always tells their parents about Chege and Barasa's every move.
Mommy, Chege and Barasa are planning to go to the river to bathe with other children,
Mila once reported after overhearing Chege and Barasa's plot. If you ever try that, both of you will be in trouble with me. Their mother had given a strict warning to both of them. As a result, Chege and Barasa try as much as possible to avoid Mila from coming close to them whenever they want to do something they know their parents will never approve of. In Asembo village, it has a long straight road in which other parts of the village are connected to, with bushes on both sides of the road. Chege and Barasa attend the community primary school. The school is located at the center of the village. It is a 2-story building. The blue paint on the building is already faded, but the A for apple, B for ball drawings on the building are still very visible.
Barasa, let us go and see the bushes after school on Friday and climb the mountains too,
Chege said, whispering to Barasa one day while they were in their class.
That is a good idea,
Barasa replied with so much excitement in his voice.
We can also invite our friends to come with us,
he suggested.
No, it'll just be 2 of us,
Chege replied. The both of them always agree on everything. They hardly argue on anything. They behave as though they were twins, even though Chege is older than Barasa with almost 2 years. It's Friday. Chege and Barasa wouldn't wait for school to be over so they can begin their adventure into the bushes. The bell rang and both of them hurried out of the school gate and headed towards the direction of the bushes.
We have to be fast so that we can get back home before it gets dark, Chege,
Chege said.
Chege, see a big rock in that place,
Barasa said, pointing in a direction a little far from where they stood.
Yes, let's go and check it out and climb on it,
Chege said, as they both ran through the bushes and towards the mountain. The boys have trailed into the bushes, and the mountain isn't as close as it appeared. They kept on going into the bushes. But the more they walked, the farther the mountain became.
I'm tired,
Barasa said as he bent down with his head face down and his both hands on his knees.
Let's go back. I think Mom and Dad will be looking for us now. It's getting dark already, and I'm scared and very thirsty,
Barasa continued.
We will soon get to the mountain,
Chege said as he pulled Barasa up. It was a dreadful dark night and very windy. The wind roaring like an enormous lion, threatening to tear the boys apart. The boys got really scared. They no longer want to go to the mountain, but to just find their way out of the forest.
Let's go back and follow through the path we came from,
Chege said, as they both turned back and tried to find their way out of the forest.
Mila, where did your brothers go to?
Their mom asked immediately she came back from the market and didn't see them around.
Mommy, I looked for them after school, but I didn't see them. I had to come home alone.
You mean they didn't come back home from school? Their dad asked Mila, as she replied, nodding in the negative.
Oh my God!
Their mom exclaimed.
Where could they have gone to?
She continued as she and her husband dashed out to look for their sons. It was dark and the boys are lost in the forest. They couldn't find their path back to the village. They got really scared and hungry
as they stood crying and contemplating which path to follow, since it was dark and they could hardly see. A cat ran past them, and they both screamed and ran fast from where they stood, and suddenly they ran into an old man who was standing by a tree. And they screamed the more. They were going to take another route in an attempt to run away from the old man who stood like a ghost. "Come back here," the old man shouted, and immediately Chege and Barasa halted sharply, as if they were on a parade ground. They turned around. The old man said softly, "Who are you two, and what are you doing out here in this forest?" The man asked in so much discontent. "Sir, we are lost. We only came to climb the mountains, and now we can't find our way back home," Chege said, shivering and crying. "Don't be scared. I won't hurt you. I am only an old hunter," the old man said. "Where is your village?" the hunter asked. "Assemble, sir," Barasa replied, still in fear. The boys were scared of being killed by a ghost in the forest. "Okay, don't worry. I will take you two back to your village. Your parents must be worried sick for you boys by now. It is very wrong to leave home without informing your parents about it. You will always get into trouble if you do that," the hunter said, and he held the boys' hands and headed in a direction that leads them out of the bush. The hunter took the boys to the king's palace in Asamba village. "Thank you very much," the king, who was arrayed in a royal apparel and seated on a beautiful throne, said to the hunter, pointing his staff towards him. "You are welcome, your highness," the hunter said, bending in front of the king in respect. Chege and Barasa were made to sit at one corner in the palace as they awaited the arrival of their parents, whom the king had sent for. Their parents arrived at the palace, and they were so happy to see their children. They thanked the hunter so much, and the king rewarded the hunter with a lot of money for being a good man and saving Chege and Barasa's life from the danger of the forest. Their parents took them home. Chege and Barasa were very happy to see their little sister Mila. They hugged her and promised their parents never to plot such mischief again. Chege and Barasa never leave home without telling their parents, and they carried their little sister Mila everywhere they went. The end.